Okay, let's start. It's always good to celebrate that the guys are on time instead of waiting for the long ones. Okay, this talk is about AI experiments. I've done a couple of experiments and I've tried to capture it in the last half year. So here we go. Who's running AI currently in production? So please hands up if you have something in production which is running now, let's say, with confidence. Still a bit in confidence? You're in production. In production. It's running in pilot in production. Okay, kind of cool. Okay. To have the second question. So we've got a pipeline and AI says it's okay. Should we ship it? Hands up if you think the current state of AI is so that we can ship it. Okay, could be, some question marks, that's good. Okay, I just started my own company now 1 month ago. I already have another company, but I merged with another company, especially with this talk, this is what I do. So Quality of Street is the name and Pascal is who I am. So what I have about experiment support or decision making. So I want something like an AI experiment. I want what experiment would I do, but in AI fields. This is where this talk is about. And this talk is about two companies. One company is RB2, and RB2 is a small company, which for me is a small company. So there are only 60 people working there. It's in the Netherlands based. There's some developer center in Portugal and China, so it's multinational. And the other company is an insurance company, which is a big one. It's DELA. So there are 6 million people in the Netherlands have an insurance over there. So about the half of the Netherlands have it there. So this is corporate. I was working at IT, but there's only 250 people at IT. So the main people working at DELA are not IT people. They do funerals, cremations, etc. And for the team, I was working in a team, and what we did is we were at an enabling team to get people started. We built toolboxes so people can use stuff in the pipeline. If you want to start with infrastructure as code, if you want to start with pipelines, we help the teams get there instead of they figure it out. No, here's the template, you can use it. Or we don't know, let's join your team, we help you. So this is one team. And the other is, RB2 is they build, let's say, e-commerce websites. And then at the end, they always ask me, oh shit, there still needs to be a bit of testing and the customer wants you to help, which is not very plannable. So these are the two contacts. The insurance company used to do SAFE and it didn't work. So they tried to do something else. So they tried, we don't do this and we tend to do that. And it's a bit odd combination. But for me, I was there at the DevOps transition, and I think, okay, not my party, but at least if I can join teams without any hassle, I'm fine. So this is what I do. And on the development company, or myself, I will be on a project for, let's say, a year or 3 months, etc. So helping the team getting the product to be shipped. These are the two organizational differences. If we look at the AI transition, for me, it's a start with, hey, this is pretty helpful. He can do some line completion, suggestions, etc. from data, and then, okay, fine, line level, create a file, this is good, helpful. Multiple files, hey, if you need it, you also need something else, fine. And at the end, we can do some basic applications. So it would be nice if you can create landscapes, but I'm already a bit hesitated if applications is good enough. Multiple files getting pretty okay. And to give in context, I really liked this picture because of Gemini, and now you see the relentless pace of only Gemini here, which, hey, we do this, we do this. And just imagine if you just only do one test on each item. It's a fully job. You can't do it. And then you have the rest, which is also pretty interesting, and you also want to spend time over there. So in this land is what we do, and then you could definitely see the differences between the two companies. So there's a timeline, and in 2024, they started using Copilot, which is pretty basic stuff to start with, and in 2024, we also start with, there were some pre-sales on, hey, this could be interesting for us. And then later on, we saw Cursor and Cursor Bot, and hey, this is pretty interesting to use that, because it's a small company, it's easy to use. We added some review agents. We tried to experiment with a thing in production. So our autopilot was in test in February, and in this year is now autopilot in production, which is a real AI application. And the pre-sales team, I will go dive more into that, is turned out to be completely different now. From the timeline, with the same timeline, we have already AI governance on how we do AI. And the thing was simple, don't, and if you want to do it, ask director. Who says basically no, otherwise you have to say something. Okay. So it was a bit hassle to get started, because you have to convince them. First of all, the amount of time you get from them is, of course, very, very small. The second thing is that we organize a tech day, and a tech day, we also want Microsoft to come over and say, hey, Microsoft, they said, oh, we got a cool Copilot stuff, okay. And then we ask, okay, you want them to present, that's cool, but that also means that we can use it. Otherwise, you present something that you can't use. So, and they want the tech day, so that's cool. And we had we can go use it, but only on invite only. So you still don't get it everybody. If you want to do it, you need to request, etc. I want to mention one thing that also helped us a lot in knowledge was Patrick Dubois, who's used to be from, let's say, we call him the godfather of DevOps, but he's now, for the last years, only doing AI. And then he gave us a workshop, how it all works, etc. So it gave really nice insights. And then we were getting a few share stakes. More and more AI pops up in the complete IT department. So at the end, we started with business started with AI. We switched over from defense in the culture. You're not allowed to yes, you are allowed to. So we got updated from governance, what is allowed, what is not allowed, how we can change that, etc. Copilot was for every developer now, is available. We started with Microsoft Copilot Studio. And what we then found out that we have some policies. For example, in Azure, we only use region West Europe and Northern Europe. But as you can, maybe you know that Microsoft has more regions, and one of the reasons why they have more regions, because those regions are pretty full. So the all new stuff is getting on other regions, but we're not allowed to use that region. So here we go again, a next hurdle. That's something that we found. There are some characteristics in the timeline. We both started most at the same time, a little bit early on the development side, but if you see at the development company, we started already with a specific team. We called it then pre-sales. The idea that you can generate, let's say, ideas to come to discuss with customers, how would your website, let's call it a website, to look like. And currently at DELA, we have a plan to start in Q1 a specific team. So already there, you see a lot of differences in teams. And again, the other side is that we tend to spend a lot of time on promotion on what can AI do for us, how you want it. So we've been 8 times to Schiphol, to Microsoft itself, to get presentation about how can you use this, how we do that, etc. So the list of information is long, but the actions are less that lower, because more to that later. Experiments. What we did is, at the development company, we have the things I like to highlight is the review bot, because I'm going more in depth to that one. Also with multiple reviews, that's really cool. Also Figma from the MCP is pretty interesting. Creating agents for customer workflow is useful. From the insurance company, we use, because it's we try to follow, we use the Microsoft, and then if Microsoft doesn't support it, we go somewhere, look for else, so Microsoft first strategy. We have some AI running. The design system we will go to is pretty interesting. Vibe coding prototypes also useful. Even software testing with AI, we try to use the tools. I will give some examples here. So there's a really simple, the idea was extremely simple. The idea is, when I commit something, I want to have, as another colleague, I want somebody to review my code. So let's go and create that thing. So I go to the marketplace, and hey, there's an OpenAI plugin. Let's figure out how that works. So we just, instead of reviewing before committing, it's now even a little bit late. So in idea, you don't want to be so late with your feedback, but at least maybe it's helpful. So we can check that review agent. So this is in the area of our workflow is currently, we create some code, we review your colleague, you commit it, and there's a pull request, and in the pull request, this additional agent runs. So we got up and running. We didn't know how risky it was with data, so we need to figure that out. So we are only allowed, let's say, to use all the code what you used to do to Stack Overflow. Now you go send it to them. That's a bit of okay. So let's see how that works. And it gives us some feedback, but we're not very fan of it. So we did, hey, well, our second idea, why don't we build ourselves a tailored version of this one? Because then you can specific, for example, we have certain standard guidelines. So if we put this one, does it follow our own standards and guidelines? That must be more useful as a review. So let's build one. So there's a PR bot, and now it runs on our pipeline. And there's a thing that if he comments on it, we should resolve the comments. That's the idea. And I don't know if you have to solve the real problem, or you can say, okay, I ignore the comments, and then it's fine. Depending on who it is. So there's a quality gate, and there's an example. So we had, okay, this is kind of cool, so we make this again a product, this is what we do. So we make this a product, and every team can now run this AI bot into their pipelines. So the only thing they have to do is a couple of parameters, as you see here. If that still works. Yeah, so you have to give some variables with it, and then you can up and running, and we take care of the rest. It's quite useful, but we are now, let's say, running it, and then you get something like, it's a bit of long. It's a bit of okay-ish. Okay, let's fix our prompt. Then we get a much better result. Okay, then we fix again the one. And currently in the situation is, I've checked it last week, there are two teams which are actively running this. One team says it's useful, and it's okay. And the other team, it's okay, we still didn't remove it. Okay. So the value from there in the beginning was pretty okay, but now they see, the hints are not that good anymore. So they are thinking of, it was first a mandatory step, it was now an optional step, and we're now, let's say, 4 or 5 months later, and now it says, okay, we are planning on or removing it or tailoring it more so that we get a better outcome. So doing the same thing in a different environment, you get this. So the problem was at the governments that you need to, you have the policies, you have the subscriptions, multi-repo. It's also very nice, forgot to mention. In the review bot, we've got a repo, should review another repo, and some data dependency to other repos. So you get something like spaghetti, you need to review spaghetti. Well, we spend a lot of time to get it, let's say, up and running, and or we are not good enough, that's also a possibility, but again here your design is not helpful when you're doing such a reviews, because he makes mistakes, he's trying to get data from other repos, then say, you define it over there and you don't use it over there, yet it's on purpose, we want that. Okay, but now back to the, not the Azure DevOps, but this time in GitHub. And GitHub makes it way more easy, because you said, hey, you want to enable it, okay, let's go. Okay, you want to have something in the review, okay, let's go. So we spent at DELA a couple of weeks with 2 people, let's say a couple of hours a day, to see, hey, how is it going and can we fix this? And to give an example, this is an example that we currently have. There's a review agent, but also a bot that's changed the code. So this is fully automatically, but it's not fully, it depends on what you mean fully automatically. A customer comes in and says, hey, there's a race condition in the cart. Okay, they ask, I think it was Claude, they asked Claude to fix this one. Okay, locally, they made a suggestion. He runs by hand the same, see if the code is working, check it again, see the tests are running fine. Okay, he says, let's ship it. Then the developer inside RB2, this boy in this case. So this also can see here, boy, is a developer who's running the code, but still manual checked it. So there's no fully automated, it's dependent, because there's then create a pull request, merges, etc. This is how it went. The problem, the highlights, we use here now 2 review agents. The review agent from Gemini, but also later on the cursor bot. So if one agent provides a solution, we ask the other agent to review it. And to see, hey, does it help? Give me different answers. And it seems to be, for us, it's more helpful because the focus are different. And there's the cursor bot, says, hey, this is what it is, and the check passed and is now into production. So this is the same review bot we use, but then way more advanced. This is, of course, a simple problem. Something like we check something in a category where there's a race condition, not extremely simple, but it's not very complicated. And this is now went into production. So after this, automatically goes into production because the test passed. So if we look at the differences, the review bot is a different review bot, of course, from the development company to the RB2 company. And there's another thing that I'd like to show you. This is Figma. Figma, I assume you all know, but these got some MCP servers we have tried to, why don't we experiment with it and see what's happening? So we did it both on both sides. On the RB2 does it, and also DELA does it. So to give an idea, the design system, how DELA works at is, they have a design system and they want to improve the design system. So why don't we generate code? And in this example, we want to add, let's say, radio buttons in the style of the rest. So why don't you generate radio button in style of the rest? Including storybook tests. Also the test to check if it's correct or not. And it seems to be, they are pretty happy about it. And they still use it. Even currently, what they try to do is not only use it over here, but also want to see if they can go further and generate the complete UI from it. This is completely different. This is an example of the code. This is completely different what we use at development company. They also tried it. Generate a lot of code, generate the code, also the storybook test, but they found it not flexible enough. And this is only what we do is Figma, and we go back to Figma. We do just Figma as Figma, but not as Figma as MCP, and generate also the code for it. We do it ourselves. One of the reasons is they changed also the way they generate prototypes. Let me check. Yeah. And how often they reuse something. So a good example is, we mentioned one time, every week a new tool. So they are so easy to change, they're changing the tools. And I had a discussion with the finance department, said normally we go for, let's say, a terminal, let's say you want Claude, example. Then you take contract, what you want, monthly or yearly. Oh, yearly is easier, why not go for yearly, or easier, cheaper. It says, we're now going for monthly because we're changing a lot. And, but they're also now getting, the IT director is getting a bit frustrated because we're now chasing so much that we are now discussing what to do. So they're a little bit up to too much speed, I think, in my association. I'm pretty old-fashioned. I use Claude and Cursor, and I didn't try Windsurf good enough to give some feedback on that one. So I'm getting old. Or Cursor for me, I like it. So at the insurance company, if you look at what the tools they use, well, you have GitHub Copilot, you have Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, those two are there, and you have Copilot. That's it. It doesn't change. Because when you want to change something, they have to add regulations, what they want, who's responsible for it, and they should file a ticket if it's not working, etc. So even though it's if a different tool is, hey, this is more helpful for me, we only support this. So there's also some good things about it, but and we did some interviewing on does it help you as a developer? So at the this is what we did on just a questionnaire. So not a big questionnaire, 20 people something. So this is what they think. And when we find out that they really, let's say because it's new, they really like it, and I'm planning to do the same review again, while they're now doing it more and more, and now they are getting, let's say, over the hype, so it's not getting, they're not so enthusiastic anymore, so I want to see if that's different. But this is what they use and what they think is helpful. I also looked at the technical because of the financial part. So where we was interested in is because we liked it, and what normally helps is happens when something like it, we use it more. And when we use it more, there's somebody gonna pay for it. And the question is, so the IT director says, I think it's good, except we had suggested maybe it's a good idea to start with something like a cap for a team. You can spend so much money on AI, or this, but Microsoft didn't have anything. So we will think, hey, maybe we need to develop that so that the team can use it. But then something really strange happened. I was at a workshop, and then the guy slacked me as, hey, something is wrong. I have 100% use of my premium. Oh, that's strange. How come? And I looked at the chart, and you see at the left, 9.77% used of all requests. Oh, by the way, Microsoft introduced a way to cap your, there it comes. And now what we have now is, as a team, I'm running out of my budget, or as a person, but as a company, we have more than enough. So now we have to pay for that guy who wants more, but we have already enough. So this is a really interesting things that currently is happening. I expect that this will be more flexible in the future, but we still have this problem. To give you an idea how many requests we take from the premium, this is a figure from last month. So a bit of an idea. Are we normal? So hey, do we use it? Is it helpful for us? This is the DORA metrics, and from the DORA metrics, this is what they say. If adoption increases, the flow goes by 2.6%. We have more flow. We see that there are a couple of things that when I joined, and we have got a monthly DevOps meeting, a guild, where we come together and then say, hey, we tend to enjoy it, but we're now at a stage like, okay, we enjoy it, but we need to check. So enjoy it again, but need to check. So we like it that we have it, but we don't see any golden bullets yet. But repetitive tasks like generating a template and then not again for the same template, a different version, this is going pretty well. We really like it. Of course, we have McKinsey. I've read the report, and the downside of McKinsey is I don't understand what kind of corporate stuff they put into it. And then we get something like, okay, there are 2.4% of the leaders need to recognize their responsibility in driving Gen AI transformation. For me, it's more like, okay. What I read here is people want to use it, give them the space to use it. And also in this previous, there's also another graph, I didn't put it in here, but if the governance of your company gives, you can use AI, and this is, let's say, good use, this is bad use, this is how guidance, the chance it use successful AI is way higher than if they like, okay, please, yeah, you can use it, but for what, for when? These guidance is necessary to speed up. That was also the same in the McKinsey report. What did we change as a result? I found this was interesting. This is all the reason why Figma is not using a lot in a development company. What they do is if we use, for example, prototyping and proof of concept, we try to vibe code and code way more, and with Claude, so we can getting a very fast feedback cycle of, is this something you like? But then we find out that the proof of concept is good enough for understanding, but then we remove, let's say, the code, we go back to our architecture, we do generate specs from it, and then we build up or we reuse stuff. So the idea is that architecture is always done by the people. And let's say discovery and even development, we use a lot of AI. So instead of using Figma, we try to do now more vibe coding stuff. So this we have, or we template stuff, and then so there's the difference. And at the insurance company, we have Figma with process. We try to improve our Figma process. That is easier when we have something, we can easily create it. So this is the fundamental difference. And for people who don't know, this is a possibility. So if you want to experiment yourself with it, V0 is a pretty easy to use. it's easy to use, but now it's getting expensive because, yeah, if something gets popular, it's getting expensive. And if you have enough money, well, you can go for this. But it's a good thing. When there's currently at the insurance company, we are at the position, what do we do? Do we create a separate AI team for our AI initiative? But before asking that question, we asked the same thing. Did we do what we want to have a DevOps, more engineering practices? We tend to use a lot of, we buy stuff and then we pay them and we buy more and we integrate them, etc. And now we move to a DevOps transition. And what we did then is we try to build stuff that is specific for one team, and then add a second specific for a second team. But then we merge those two as they must be having a shared goal or a shared approach. And then the third team joins in, and then the third team, hey, we got our sort of standard for this. So let's give an example. If you want infrastructure as code, you can use Terraform is one solution. You can use Bicep is another solution. And somebody comes with OpenTofu or something else, I don't care. How we define the standard? The standard way in the corporate was always, okay, we define a standard, then the people need to follow the standard. And what we did, but did it other way around. First, one team, something specific, because they are very good at making something big. So this is what we did. So the current question is, do we do the same with AI initiative? Is it the same problem? Because it's also changing the way you work, to say how you can integrate it. Who currently have an AI competence center at their company where they're working? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who doesn't have an AI? Maybe that's easier. On a specific reason? No. A question for the guys who have the AI competence center: do they also develop, let's say, AI tools, or is it just enabling other teams? Any? Both? They build the AI.
And help other teams by combining it.
Okay, so they build stuff and combining, let's say, the enablement for the other teams. So that's a helpful thing. For us, we tend to go for AI competence center and help at a team. But there's one thing we already have is we have a huge amount of, because we are a corporate big, and what they do is, that's a good idea, let's write that down. That's a good idea, let's write that also down. And what we have now is a very long list in Excel, because there was one guy who's a data scientist, and well, oh yeah, he's the guy who's AI, so send all the requests to him. That's what happened. And now he still say, oh, we're starting a team, so we're now adding stuff to him. The team is getting bigger, and now this is just a screenshot of the Excel file, and now we see how we're going to challenge this. So this is now a challenge to get this into production. We are figuring it out now how we do it. So the question is, what we build, should we build it, or should we enable it, or both? We don't have the answer yet, because as you saw before, in Q1 we start, because it's quarterly planning. And as you can see, the AI train goes so fast that waiting a quarter, if something is a good idea, well, in these items, one of the items was, I'm starting to smile again, is, okay, we should do something with GPT-3. Yeah, this is how fast the safe frameworks used to be. So there's the things that I've mentioned mostly. So experiments, did they help? Or do they like it to have? At the development company, AI bots, agent style is very useful for them. Figma, okayish. Customer prototype, we're very in front of that. That's really good. Copilot or Ellie, they're not, yes, they're still in doubt. At the insurance company, Figma, they're really liking it. That is so good. So both. My assumption is that also depending on their process-wise, they want certain steps, and because this flow likes to have also certain steps, so some checks, for example, that's why they also like it, because then they don't have to do that checks. My good question would be, what should I need to do to remove that check? And the post-bot is also helpful over here. There are some takeaways for me, and hopefully for you. Early adopters, when it are easy to start, is very helpful. They are mostly likely to win. Just like a Scrum team, who accelerate faster, they are really, in my opinion, more chance of getting high performance. It's helpful. The vibe coding for POCs is very helpful. Standard code like infrastructure as code, the templating, these stuff are getting now really good. We really like it. There are two things that I don't like. AI is a pleaser. Maybe because I'm Dutch, but I really don't like the language he's telling you. Oh, that's great. That's a good point. You're wrong. Yes. And you tell him again, please fix this. It's wrong. No. And because he's so pleasing, he's just like following YouTube, Instagram, or socials, like, okay, thank you. And at a certain moment, I'm really started thinking that he likes me. It's not true. Also, that's the addictive. When we are addictive, I saw Microsoft is now, let's say, also you need additional contracts. We already have a very big contract, but we need additional contracts for using let's say, the engines. And what we also find is that testing, what we do normally with testing, we tend to have an approach of, we have some unit test, integration test, acceptance test, everything is fine. But what you do now, there are two things. One is, if these agents change something, you need to, with review already, start with, sometimes they change something you don't think about. So please review carefully. I think that's one. And if this slips around, also into production, we have seen, this is very easy, yes, it's okay, push it to production. We didn't have tests for everything, but now some things are, hey, this is strange. Why is it not, we didn't change this. Yes, you did, or your agent did this. So change your approach also on testing, because we get some quirks. And so your how you catch your bugs should also catch those strange quirks. So that's it for me. Those are my experiments in two companies. Any thoughts, questions? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I'll wait.
No.
For the questions, I have a mic, so if you use this, that will be very helpful.
For the recording.
Yeah. Is it on? Yes.
Yeah.
You've obviously seen a lot of experiments into quite different contexts.
Yes.
Are there any conclusions or observations on the type of teams and maybe the human side of it for those experiments to be more successful or less successful?
What I observe is probably have in your, the question is, are there more teams that have the higher rate of success? Maybe that's a short version. What I've seen is, for example, when I look at the DevOps transition, when it was there, teams are easy to say, okay, well, let's build pipelines, let's build infrastructure as code, let's build automatic tests, let's go for monitoring. Owning the solution, with those, it's way better. There are some other teams that I call it renting application. It's not, we need to do this. And we have something like a big old system or whatever. The ownership, if the ownership is not there, the guys that accelerate at DevOps also accelerate in using of AI experiments. So they're so used to doing experiments, and that's what you don't see at the older, because we're busy fixing stuff. And we don't have time for, yeah, that could be nice. Let's plan that. Next PI. Good idea. So, yeah. Other questions?
Hi, do you hear me?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Okay, how do you deal with the situation when you open the GitHub Copilot? Now the developer has like more than 10 options from the models to select. Like, how do you deal with this? Like, do you do any recommendations around the company, or?
Yeah, we have also there is different, because when you have a small company and you're facilitating in one location, the developers over there, it's easier. The other for the team is what we tend to do is ask the team to present, let's say, how they use, for example, Copilot. And we actively, as an enablement team, actively visit the teams to hey, why don't you just show me this, why don't you present this in our DevOps guild? But it's not only about DevOps, but so in the guild from the developers. This is how we try to solve it, but it's not a really big or well-planned meeting, something to get this fixed. But this is how we tend to do it. Other solutions? Other questions? Then thank you very much.